Kia ora e te whānau. Well, if you're a regular, hi, I'm happy to see you, happy to have you here. Thank you for choosing to come back. And if you're new, this is a series where we're making a complete journal from beginning to end, and there is a digital pack available if you want to make it like this, but you can also absolutely use your own stash and just use the ideas that come in these videos. There is a little explanation video of what the folders entail, etc. Down in the video description below this video, and I'll pop in the link as well. But feel free to grab all your bits and pieces you have at home and make it out of those as well. So last week when we made this guy, I did say that when I put it on here, I just maybe wanted another layer in there. And so I have, and we will be making this little piece today, popped that in there, and now I've got a more layered page there. I've also made, we'll be making this one as well, and this little very basic pocket, but look how gorgeous she looks. Okay, so in this week's folder I have put in 6 different neutral pages. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So if you don't print it up the wrong way like I have, you should be fine. Now, I have not used plain copy paper because I wanted to see what it looked like if I had a little play around. This one here, I have printed on this paper, and it's quite a yellowy toned paper. If I put it next to something that's a bit more cream, it might be a bit more obvious. And it's kind of a mottled kind of paper. Don't ask me what it is. I just wanted to experiment printing on it. I grabbed it out of my stash and I thought, what'll that look like if I print one of these digitals on it? And I quite like how matte it's come out and how it's slightly toned, the digital, and it definitely fits the rest of the journal. And then these guys, both of these ones, I have printed on Awagami paper, which is Awagami. It's a brand name, and it's Awagami washi paper, and it's slightly off-white, and on one side it's quite smooth, and on the other side it's a little bit more matte and textured, but it does have these fibres running through it. So if you want to print on something like that, it does print beautifully, but I notice you can't rip it. If you do, it's very fibrous, and where you hit the big fibres, it's really hard to tear, and you might have to cut them. So if we put those into the journal, they are going to have to go with nice straight cut edges. Although, obviously, I'm going to ink them. Alright, so that's what's in the folder for this week if you've got the Come Make With Me. If you've got the Mega Bundle, there's a digital collection of neutral backgrounds, and that's got 10 instead of 6. So that will already be in your folder as well. So let's get started on our paper making. Okay, so I have set up, hopefully this makes it easy for you guys and it's all in shot. This inside edge of this first one is A4. And this inside edge is, here's your measurements here, 22 centimeters or 8 3/4 inches, and 18.5 centimeters and 7 6/8 inches. Now, this isn't anything you haven't seen before, I'm sure, but because we're making a journal from beginning to end, it's going to have some videos where we've got to do the more boring bits that aren't as exciting as interactive pages. So this is just part and parcel of the journals that I make, and we're going to make some Frankenpages like I would have showed you. So I have just got, and obviously this is not something that I can scan because they will probably all come up exactly the same colour, but I have previously done some Franken pages, and I have put them into the folder for Come Make With Me this week. Now I have just got a variety because I want these to be mainly writing pages. I'll probably end up putting a cluster on them or something, don't worry. So I've got some envelopes, and I'll just quickly show you. So I just grab an old envelope, and I just use my awl because I don't have a letter opener. I put it in there, and I just drag that towards me to split them in half so that I get twice the amount of paper. So hopefully that makes sense, and that gives me a ripped edge as well instead of a cut edge. Now for Frankenpaper, because I want it to be writing paper, I do not want to ink the edges, which I know, it's me. What do you mean you don't want to ink the edges? It's just, I want it to be able to be written on. And I will include some little bits like this as well, because you could still write across onto the blank, which I quite like. So I have some old lined paper, envelopes, some brown packing paper, some scraps of coffee dyed paper, more invoices. I have a sheet of letters, the coffee dyed lace. Don't know if I'm going to use that or not, we'll see. More note paper, and lots of end papers from books that are just beautiful. Probably won't use those, I'll take those out of there. They're just my book pages that I have put a layer of acrylic paint on. But all sorts of different shades of cream and beige, and then there's this one here. That, believe it or not, is not something I've done. Someone must have wiped the mold off it with maybe, I don't know what they used, but that's how it came in the book. So yeah, and I'm just going to grab bits and pieces and put it together. Now, my understanding of Frankenpaper, we call it that because there is no actual fine art term for it. Collage is more, it has a base, a substrate, or something that you collage onto for a start, and it usually makes a picture or a composition. I will do one like that because I want to use some of this beige paper run through the embosser as a pocket, because that I think looks really gorgeous too. But Frankenpaper, we are literally making our own paper out of paper scraps, so technically I guess it's not collage. So you don't have to do this, I just find it easier. In the past I have just put a piece of A4 down so that I know the rough guide size, but then it's really simple. Just make sure that you've done your fold test so the paper's not brittle, and then I just start popping these in, and I find it just makes it really interesting. So I try to separate, see how those are very, very similar in colour tone. I do try to separate and make sure I've got a lovely mix of beiges next to whites and browns next to beiges, rather than having them all the same. And I do tend to, we're doing A4, Sara-Lee. I do tend to lay it out first. Now, no rule here. If you want to ink your edges, by all means go for it. There's absolutely, obviously, no rule for that whatsoever. And usually, without even knowing it, you'll get a beautiful second side as well, without too much effort. But if you find, oh, that doesn't look that great on the opposite side, that's when I usually just grab another interesting piece and glue it to the opposite side. And then how I glue it, so I'm going to glue this edge here. I hope I'm not teaching you guys how to suck eggs. I'm sure there's someone out there that hasn't made Frankenpaper before. And then I look, okay, that goes up to there. And I want to run a little bit of glue down this edge as well, just so that both sides of the paper, when I flip it over, will be sealed. And I can give myself just a little bit of overlap, because as you can tell, that will be the only thing that is holding this piece of paper together, is this tiny little overlap here where the papers meet. And when you've got a rough cut like that, yeah, that's why I find it easier just to make sure you glue both of these little edges. And other than that, I really don't think I need to talk too much more. I can probably just speed this up a little bit, and if I have something that I need to say, I will slow it down and tell you. Now this guy, didn't want to waste him. So I am gonna quickly ink him, because I think he'll make a cute little feature for the page. And see how that area there is quite blank? Look at the difference that that makes. So I am going to chuck him in there. Now, is there an easier way to do Frankenpaper than this? I'm absolutely certain there is. Is this the way I do Frankenpaper? Yes. I'm sure you could. You don't even have to line it up. I just find that this helps me make the lines on the paper square by having the border. I think a lot of people just go for gold, and I think they might have a little bit more of an overlap than I do, but I love this. So there is our first piece, and when it's folded in half, it's going to be a really cool, interesting page folio for our signature. So I don't think you need to necessarily see me make a small one. So I'm just going to go and I'll make a couple more, and I just like, if I see any little bits like this, I'll just come back with a little bit of glue and pop that back in there. Make sure that's glued down, make sure there's no, but I mean, in saying that, it does look quite cool with a little bit sticking up. So you can choose that. You can also decide whether or not you want to do the inking, because here we go, I'll just try and ink this one now so that you can decide for yourself whether or not. And yes, I would definitely do it before, not like Sara-Lee is right now. But yeah, you can decide whether you want to ink them before you turn them into a page. So I will pop back shortly. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, except I'm just going to be matching it to this inside instead of the A4 inside. So I shall go and make a smaller one and I will come back. Now I have left this in after thinking about it, but I have left it on fast forward just in case someone did want to see it. I have put in a timestamp so you can just skip past it if you don't want to see me putting together this little piece as well. Okay, now, so that's one side, and that's what the other side will look like. You might have noticed that I glued the wrong spot. All fixed. Now I did ink around the edges. While I was inking, I did realise that this little piece here is quite fragile. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to stick a piece that's got a little bit of interest on it over this side of the paper, and that will reinforce that guy. I mean, I don't know, do feel like that for some reason just needs a little bit of a ink. And just with your envelopes, I always try to make sure that these bits, if they're coming unstuck, are stuck down together. And I will put glue over the whole thing rather than just around the edges, because it is to reinforce. So that page looks interesting, and this guy has been reinforced. Alright, so this pretty little guy, I think I measured him right. If we just fold him, and I will again with that guy as well, ink around the edges of the page front and back. But let's see what he looks like in here. There we go. Now, if that's not coming out far enough, that's alright. We will just I'll fold him over a little bit further. Glad I did that before I inked the fold. And then it just means that that little back page is going to be slightly shorter. There we go. I'm happier with that measurement there. So now we're getting our layered love letters and lace. So the other thing I was going to do was just to do the same thing, but I'm collaging onto here. So in this instance I would use glue stick, and I'm not too concerned about how fragile the paper is because it's got a base, and I'm not concerned about what's on the back of it either because you're not going to see it. As you can see, that's why I reinforced it. It is way more delicate. Well, actually, this isn't the same receipt. This is another one that's, oh goodness, even more delicate. So I'll put that piece there. But see, trash to treasure. Nobody's going to be wanting to keep this receipt. And like when I'm doing my collages, I do like to push that glue down. Okay, do I dare try this piece? Because I might put him down maybe over there. Careful, careful. Oh, look, you behaved a little bit better than your friend over there. And sometimes I'll just take it off the edge of the paper because I can always trim that back, but it means I won't have a little gap down there at the bottom that I've got to fill. Okay. Yep, you can go there. So I'll just fast forward this for you. There we go. Now I will allow that to dry before I do anything to it. So I will just do that. Oh no. Is that a me here or a needles here? And then I'll come back. Okay, so that little coffee dyed lace page I've just put in there, and let's just quickly measure what size we would need this to be. Make it a little bit shorter. And will I decorate this further? Well, maybe. It'll just depend on what I put in the pocket, because if it's got photos and things in the pocket, it might actually look perfectly fine just with the embossed plain. That's what happened in the last journal. Okay, now you can use any embossing folder that you've got, and you'll have to excuse the state of my embossing machine. I am going to use this one. I'm just going to pop that guy in there. Might just do our divot first. There we go. And make sure it's the right way up. Look at that transformation. Don't you think that's pretty? I'm going to round the edges. And you could run an ink over the top if you want to, if you want that patterning from the embossing to be a bit more pronounced. I'm just going to go around the edge though, because I really like the way that looks just as is. And then when you put it on the page, here we go. So yeah, it just depends. What I'm going to probably put in the pocket will be probably a journaling card, and it will have little accents of something darker, probably little accents of black, because at the moment, even though we know how much Sara-Lee loves beige and cream in neutral tones, at the moment I think it's just a little bit too neutral for my liking. Really need to refill my glue bottle. There you go. And that's just made out of absolutely plain paper. So I think that is turning out to be quite a cute little signature. And considering we'll probably decorate that, I'll make maybe a cluster or something, I'd say, to go on that page just to brighten it up a little bit. But these are the decisions that I make towards the end of the journal. The rest of the journal might be quite full on, and I might think, oh, actually that's a nice break there, just with a little bit of interest. So if we flip through, because this is probably going to be our signature, obviously I would still put something on some of these pages, but I think that is going to be enough pages for this one signature. Otherwise she's going to get a wee bit chunky. So I know that wasn't a thrilling video, but I think it is something that makes a big difference to the journal itself, rather than just having lots of plain paper. So I hope if you're following along and making this journal, you'll get your bits of paper out and you'll make a couple of pieces of Frankenpaper. And until next week, I will see you then. Mā te wā!